Once upon a time, there was a man who had just bought a new home, and he was so excited. He went in, he put in all new floors, he brought in furniture for every room, and he painted every single wall in his house. He was proud. A few months went by, and he was sitting in his living room, and he looked over and he noticed a crack in the paint in one of the walls. So he got on Yelp and he hired a painter to come in, and that painter came and he spackled the wall, he sanded it down, and he put a fresh coat of paint, and everything looked great. A few months went by, and he was sitting in his kitchen this time, and he looked over and he saw a crack in the paint on one of the walls. So he hired another painter. That guy came in, he spackled the wall, he sanded it down, he put a fresh coat of paint, and everything looked great. A few more months went by, and the homeowner started to notice cracks in the paint in multiple walls throughout his home. He was frustrated. He got on Yelp, he was like, I'm gonna throw money at this problem, and he hired the most expensive, the best reviewed painter to come into his home. That painter got there, and he had special tools. He did a full assessment of the house, and finally, he took out his flashlight and was looking really closely at the paint cracks. He put his flashlight down, and it rolled. And he looked to the homeowner, and he said, Sir, I'm so sorry to tell you this. You don't have a problem with your paint. The problem is with your foundation. Fellow doTERRA lovers and biohackers, today I'm going to share with you the foundational approach to healthy aging. It's true, the conventional approach, they love to focus on the paint. You know what I'm talking about. You go to the doctor, you've got your series of health concerns, you're talking about it, and eventually you hear something along the lines of, everybody's got cracks in their paint, which really is what you're hearing is, it's just a part of aging, right? I don't accept those types of things, and what if we didn't have to? What if we could affect aging? What if we could slow or even reverse that process? The field of anti-aging medicine over the past 20 years has worked to identify what dictates aging, and it comes down to DNA expression. How do we affect DNA expression? Raise your hand if you've ever had a goldfish. If your goldfish gets sick, what do? You can't take it to the vet. There's no little surgical tools for your goldfish. All you can do is change the water in that fishbowl and hope for the best. And sure enough, when we would do that, most of the time, the goldfish would rally. It would start to express health and vitality. We can work on our DNA expression in a similar way. We can do that by affecting our epigenetics. The field of epigenetics studies how can we change the environment or the water in which our DNA is bathing. You can see it right here in this picture inside of the blue. If we can affect what's happening inside of the cell and affect what's happening on the outside of the cell, well, then we can start to change our genetic expression. This is what it means to take a foundational approach to healthy aging. PhD researcher and Harvard professor, Dr. David Sinclair, has dedicated much of his professional career to identifying what are these epigenetic factors. These four listed here, this is affecting these four foundational elements is what it means to take a proactive approach to the aging process in your life. This is the first 4 steps that you can take to decide for yourself, what is the aging process going to look like for me in my life? We have nutrition, optimizing blood sugar, optimizing inflammation, and optimizing mitochondrial function. We're going to kick off by talking about nutrition. In our culture today, we don't have a problem with food quantities. The problem is with food quality. Most of our food is laden with glyphosates, genetically modified organisms, synthetic sweeteners, and preservatives that make our fishbowl water sick and dirty. These foods can act like chemical messengers that tell our DNA, express aging, don't express vitality. What can we do to change our nutrition? Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about dietary dogmas today. I'm just going to share with you some simple food tips that you can start to implement that can optimize your nutrition. Number one, eat foods that rot. Crazy, right? So many things out there in the grocery store, they last for years nowadays. Try your best to minimize those foods and eat the real thing. And when you do, try to include around 10 to 12 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. Choose clean protein. When you're choosing to eat red meat, go for the grass-fed. When you're choosing fish, choose the wild as often as possible. When eating poultry or eggs, choose the free-range organic. You don't have to all the time, but as often as you can. Eat healthy fats. Avoid the pro-inflammatory, tissue-damaging seed oils like canola oil and corn oil. Get rid of those. Instead, choose to nourish and bathe your cells with healthy fats like avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, and ghee. When we make these decisions for our nutrition, we are changing the fishbowl water. The next thing that you can do is you can start to supplement your diet. Taking nutritional support supplements like the Microplex VMZ and the essential fatty acid supplement like Omega are critical. A lot of us, even those of us that work really hard at eating healthy, a lot of us are still vitamin and mineral deficient. It's the nature of our food supply, unfortunately. And so it makes sense to boost your levels, bring them back to baseline every day because your body needs vitamins and minerals for everything it does, from digestion to detoxification to hormone creation and neurotransmitter assimilation. Next, you can start to take a healthy essential fatty acid like the Omega. The Omega is meant to help us optimize our essential fatty acid ratio, like the ratio between omega-3 and omega-6. This is key because when the ratio is skewed, our body starts to express symptoms of sickness, aging, and disease. You can help your body to optimize this ratio by taking an essential fatty acid supplement, like the Omega. The next foundational element is healthy blood sugar. Blood sugar is glucose. You take in your food, your body breaks it down, and it releases glucose into the bloodstream. Insulin gets released by the body. It's a hormone that it grabs up that glucose and it takes it over to the cell for usage. Modern research is showing us over and over again that there is a direct connection with high levels of glucose and insulin to an accelerated aging process. It makes sense to proactively go after optimizing your glucose levels for this reason. Now, there's a few ways that you can do this. Number one, food. We can't ignore the food. So do your very best to get rid of as much of the sugar as possible. Definitely kick out high fructose corn syrup. Not a good industry, not good for the planet or for your body. Choose to eat healthy sugars like fruits and like coming from your fruits and honey, and do your very, very best to manage your sugar cravings naturally. You can do this actually by increasing your healthy fats and healthy proteins in your day. You might find that doing that alone helps to minimize the sugar cravings. But if you need extra help, you can bring in the MetaPWR Assist and the MetaPWR Soft Gels. Take one of each before your meals during the day. And finally, if you can start to extend the time between dinner and breakfast the next morning to be 13 or more hours, well then you would be able to really optimize your blood sugar levels. A lot of research nowadays and my clinical experience in my functional medicine practice has shown me that this is a very simple lifestyle tip that you can start to implement that's gonna have a drastic effect on your healthy glucose levels. Now, if you're somebody that likes to measure progress, that's me as a practitioner, I wanna know, is this working? I wanted to share with you guys a couple of blood markers that you can run to take before you start these changes as well as after. You can see here, fasting insulin, fasting glucose, and hemoglobin A1C are some markers that you can run. And I recommend you give your body between 100 and 120 days between the before and the after assessment. So about 3 to 4 months. The reason for that is because that's the length of a life cycle of a red blood cell. So you want to give your body time for full cell turnover in that way. The next foundational element is to manage a healthy inflammatory response. Inflammation is the gasoline on the fire of aging. A lot of us are walking around with too much inflammation in our bodies. It's kind of the nature of being a human nowadays. When we have too much inflammation in our system, our body has excess oxidative stress as a result. Oxidative stress is like when you take a bite out of an apple and you let it sit there and engage with oxygen, it turns brown, doesn't it? Similarly, when our bodies have too much inflammation and oxidative stress starts to build, it can have a negative impact on our tissues and our cells. It does not send a healthy message to our DNA. It sends the message of aging and disease. What can be done to naturally manage our healthy inflammatory response? Well, action item number 1 is to address the things we've already talked about so far. Healthy nutrition, managing healthy blood sugar, and also, and managing healthy blood sugar. Action item number 2 is to manage that oxidative stress. Who's heard of antioxidants before? Raise your hand. Antioxidants, it tells you what it's doing, right? It's helping to negate all of that oxidative stress. It's helping to neutralize it. Protects our tissues. Alpha CRS is loaded with antioxidants because of all the polyphenols in there. Also, alpha CRS has lots of herbs that are meant to address the inflammatory response directly. Things like boswellia, green tea extract, grapeseed extract are all going to help your body have a healthy inflammatory response. Alpha CRS, you guys, it's my favorite supplement. It's like taking a fire extinguisher to the body. It's so important for us to do this every single day. Alpha CRS is working on 2 mechanisms to combat that inflammatory response and keep it healthy. If you want to measure and monitor the changes in your inflammatory response, these are some values that you can have ran. C-reactive protein, or CRP, erythrocyte sedimentation rate, or ESR, and the LDH levels. They'll tell you how you're doing before and after. And the final foundational element is the mitochondrial function. If we can figure out how to optimize mitochondria, we can have a profound effect on how we age. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Its job is to create energy, or ATP, for your body to use. If you don't have enough energy to do all of the processes in your body, you're not going to feel very good. And the messages we're going to have negative messages sent to that DNA for DNA expression. A true healthy aging hack. If you remember nothing else from my talk, remember this. The true healthy aging hack is to trick your mitochondria into never slowing down. If you can do this, you can keep your mitochondria healthy, you can avoid a lot of the negative side effects of aging. When our mitochondria become sluggish and sick, that's when we start to see accelerated aging and also the development of dis-ease in the body. The way that you can support your mitochondria is by providing it the building blocks that it needs to create energy and to function well. The ingredients that you can provide to the mitochondria are things like CoQ10, quercetin, alpha-lipoic acid, L-carnitine. All of this is included in what supplement? Alpha CRS. I did hear MetaPWR, and guess what? MetaPWR acts as a booster for mitochondrial function because MetaPWR has NMN and NADH, which act to further support mitochondrial function. Now, after the presentations from today, some of you might be asking yourself, after the presentations today, some of you might be asking yourself, well, which is the daily priority? Is it lifelong vitality or is it MetaPWR? I don't think that we have an either-or situation here. We know that lifelong vitality in combination with the dietary tips that we've talked about so far are enough to support a healthy foundation for aging. But you guys, MetaPWR is meant to come in and further support that foundation by further optimizing mitochondrial function and healthy glucose. MetaPWR is meant to be the accelerant on the Lifelong Vitality Pack. It is not the substitution. They're meant to work together. Now, according to the title of my presentation, I did promise a do-it-yourself blueprint, and that's what you can see right here. You guys, this is what it looks like to stop focusing on the paint and to start focusing on your foundation. These are the daily habits that if you choose to adopt into your life, give your body the chance to refresh the water inside of your fishbowl so that you can positively impact your genetic expression, so that you have the chance to live younger, longer.